Greetings, everyone. This is Rock'n'Roll coming at you, welcoming you to the first installment of Starter versus Booster. So, Starter versus Booster. The base idea breaks down like this: pretty much every booster set from HeroClix comes with, of course, a generally speaking 60-ish figure set in the booster packs, as well as a set starter-ish product, either be it a starter set like with Justice League Unlimited, a Fast Forces like Captain America and the Avengers, or in the case of the upcoming Fantastic Four set, both. What these starters generally do is they take, say, 6, maybe 7 sculpts from the set, 6, maybe 7 characters from the set, and use the same sculpts as in the booster. Maybe a slightly different paint job in some cases, and then make some changes to the dial. And generally speaking, both dials, sometimes you have a case of one dial being exceptionally better than the others. It's a case of they're both good for different reasons. So, what we're doing in Starter versus Booster is comparing the starter versions of the characters to their booster versions. And since, Fantastic Four isn't out yet, still got a month for that, we'll be looking at the Justice League Unlimited starter today. Starting with Wonder Woman. Here's the sculpt. The sculpt is the same for both figures, so I'm not going to show off the sculpt on both occasions. So, now, while the sculpt is the same, the dials are very different. In fact, they have a lot in common. Both have the JLA team ability. Both start off with hypersonic speed. And both also start off with leadership, and as well as a means of reduce. Well, actually, both start off with invincible. However, there's some very different things about them. First and foremost, we've got traits. On the starter Wonder Woman, we have the founding members trait, which is found on all 6 of the starter Justice League Unlimited figures. Speed +2, but only if your force has 4 or more characters with the Justice League keyword. For all friendly characters that can use this trait, action total +1, but only if your force has 6 or more characters with the Justice League keyword. Okay, alright. It has a similar feel to it as the Secret 6 and Sinister 6 keywords or traits both did, but still very different and very... Honestly, it really feels a lot like... it feels like it fits the Justice League more. In fact, I could totally see WizKids using a similar trait in an Avengers starter at some point. The booster Wonder Woman has 2 traits. First off, we've got Justice League Unlimited, which, again, all the booster members have. In fact, almost every Justice League keyworded character from the set has the Justice League Unlimited keyword. At the beginning of your turn, roll a d6. On a 6, roll an action token from another friendly character with the Justice League keyword that's 100 points or less. Note that the character does not have to be within range or line of fire. Just on the map and friendly. Booster Wonder Woman also has Princess of the Mascara, which makes it so that she takes a maximum of 1 damage from range attacks if she can draw a line of fire to her attacker. Okay, alright. Nice way of basically kind of symbolizing the bracelets. I like it. Okay. Now I mentioned they both start off with hypersonic speed. Now this is actually where the starter Wonder Woman pays off. That definitely stands taller than her booster counterpart. The The starter Wonder Woman includes a special attack power, Magic Lasso. Who knew? When she hits with a range attack, until your next turn, a hit target gains immobile and can't use damage powers. Now, okay, that shuts down a lot. No Outwit, no Perplex, no Leadership, no Shape Change, no Ranged Combat Expert, no Enhancement, no Empower, no Close Combat Expert, and yeah, various others. Okay, so, and as it does not specify as it just says hits with a range attack, as opposed to hits with range capitalized, it can be used in conjunction with hypersonic speed. The booster Wonder Woman, however, has super strength paired with hypersonic speed, which, okay, that's nice, but you pretty much have to either to get the full full benefit, I would say. In fact, just to be sure, let's check our handy power abilities chart. So the plus side on Wonder Woman having hypersonic and super strength is that yes, she can cause knockback, but she can't make an object attack. And well, her printed 3 damage is nice, but depending on who you're going up against, there's a good possibility you're only going to do 1 click of damage. Sadly, starter Wonder Woman does not have super strength at all. And after taking 1 click of damage, Wonder Woman does pick up charge as opposed to hypersonic speed. In fact, she has charge for most of her dial, as you can see. And the first click of charge does coincide with her second click of super strength. Stat-wise, I kind of have to give the win to the starter. Her attack value never drops below a 10, whereas on the booster version's last click, she drops to a 9. Sidestep is also quite nice on the starter version. And while having the 2 clicks of invincible right off the top are good on the booster one, having one invincible followed by 2 super senses, then invincible, then 2 more super senses actually works pretty well on for the starter version. The Princess of Themyscira trait is nice, and I do like that a little bit more than just super senses. One place in stats that the boost version wins out in is defense, as the lowest her defense gets to is a 17, whereas the starter version dips to a 16 on its last click. 16s are not that hard to hit anymore. Finally, the starter version does have a starting 4 damage as opposed to just 3s. So one other thing we'll be doing in this is also trying to build the best team we can build for the Justice League, utilizing all 6 of the figures of the characters featured in the starter. Not necessarily the starter figures, but at least those characters. And also hopefully having enough room to include Hawkgirl. Alright, and to be fair, I'm kind of giving the Wonder Woman for that will be the starter Wonder Woman. Next up we've got the Flash. It's a good sculpt. Pretty sure I remarked on this during my unboxings. Now, one other thing to mention with the starter figures is that most of them come in at 100 point, either 100 or 40 to 60 points. Wonder Woman comes in at either 100 points or 60 points. Flash, or 100 points or 40 points. Flash comes in at 100 or 70. So let's compare the flashes right quick, their dials. As you can see, again, they both have the Justice League of America keyword, team ability. Booster Flash is 65 points as opposed to 100 points, and does have a shorter dial than the starter Flash. So let's take a look at the differences. First off, once again, the traits. Founding members for the starter, JLU for the Flash, or for Booster. The Booster Flash also includes the trait Around the World in 80 milliseconds. There's a free action if the Flash occupies a square on the edge of the map, and that edge is the longest edge, the longest edge of the map, or tied for it. Place him in the same row or column on the opposite edge of the map from that edge. He can't be placed in a starting area this way. Okay, alright. Now, Booster Flash also has improved movement, ignores elevated hindering terrain, so that's definitely a plus for him. And he has Indomitable, so he's got built-in willpower. Both Flashes have a special power on speed. The starter version gets Everywhere at Once. Hypersonic Speed. As a power, give him a power action, and he gains improved movement, ignores characters. Move the Flash up to his speed value, then make a close attack targeting all characters he moved through, regardless of adjacency. Instead of normal damage, deal each hit target 1 penetrating damage and knock back each hit character 1 square in the direction of your choice. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad, you know. You can potentially do 1 damage to a whole bunch of characters and then, you know, and knock them back, which can be great for setting up attacks from other characters. Maybe by knocking a character back just one, you get them just within charge or running shot range of another character, for example. The Booster Flash has Across the City in the Blink of an Eye, which gives him hypersonic speed, and then as a free action, this turn, modify speed +3, but the Flash can only move in direct paths. Okay. That could be tricky, but it can be useful. The Booster Flash's speed starts off at a 12. So, by making him start off at, say, 15, or at his lowest on his last click, 13, you can still move him quite a bit with hypersonic speed by doing that, and only in a direct path. Okay, so straight up or straight across. Now, Starter Flash actually has a lot of additional powers going on. We've got ourselves some regular hypersonic speed, some mid and late dial precision strike, which is excellent against super senses. A good chunk of super senses himself, as well as some inertial deflection. We get some perplex and some late dial probability control. The Booster Flash has 2 late dial clicks of precision strike and a full 5 clicks of super senses. Stat-wise, Starter Flash has the stronger stats. Again, his attack does not drop below a 10. However, his movement does drop below a 10. And his attack starts at a 10, goes up to 11, back down to 10, up to 11, back down to 10 at the end. Defense, on defense they both started at an 18 and on a 16. And they damage. Excuse me. Both of them started a 3 and eventually drop to a 2. On attack, like I said, there is the fact that Booster Flash does drop to a 9 at 2 points. However, I think in the end, The combination of the higher opening attack and the improved movement does give Booster Flash the win. Which brings us to Batman. First, let's take a look at the sculpt. So, Batman comes in at either 100 points or 60 points. Trait-wise, the starter one has Founding Members as well as Batwing, which gives him the flight ability and range +2, which puts him up to a 6 range. The first time this game, Batman would take more than 1 damage from an attack. He takes 1 damage instead, and for the rest of the game he can't use this trait, and is protected from Pulse Wave. So, okay, alright. It's a nice way of kind of symbolizing that Batman does have a jet of his own. The Booster Batman has the Justice Unlimited trait. Let's take a quick look at their dials. Both have both the Batman team ability, Batman Ally team ability, and the JLA team ability. So, they both have built-in stealth, and the Justice League team ability, which basically states that if a character, or when a character with a team ability is given a move action, they modify their speed by +1. That would be the full move. So, leap, climb, facing teleport, not running shot, hypersonic speed, charge, so on and so forth. Okay, so looking at their dials, both of them start off with running shot. The starter version has a much longer dial, and he actually has a few clicks of he's got 4 clicks of running shot followed by 3 clicks of sidestep. Attack wise, he goes back and forth between Incapacitate and Energy Explosion. Incap, Energy Explosion, Incap, Energy, yeah. Then we've got 4 clicks of Super Senses followed by 3 clicks of Combat Reflexes, and then back and forth between Perplex and Outwit. The Booster version has 1 click of Running Shot, 2 clicks of Sidestep, 2 clicks of Charge. Then we've got a special attack power. I'll take it from here. Opposing characters within 6 squares in line of fire using Impervious, Shape Change, or Super Senses decrease their roll for these powers by -1. However, it does state that a 6 is a success no matter what. So it's not going to completely nerf, say, Shape Change against Precision Strike. After that, we got some Incap, then defense. This is actually the big problem I have with both of these Batmans. Neither one has Indomitable. The Booster version starts off with a printed 17 that goes up to an 18 on Combat Reflexes, and then we get Willpower for the next 3 clicks. And he doesn't drop below a 17 on defense, whereas the starter version drops to a 16 when he's got Combat Reflexes. Damage-wise, the starter version's got a couple of clicks of Perplex, followed by some Outwit, followed by a final click of Exploit Weakness. And to be fair, penetrating damage is always a plus. Oof, this one's actually a real tough one. Another thing that the Booster one has going for it is an opening 12 attack. Oh boy, this is actually going to really be tough. I think in the long run, I think think the booster one's going to win out here as well. There are some slight differences to stats. Yes, he's got a shorter dial, but those slight stat differences do make a world of difference. After all, starter Batman only deals 3 damage on his first click, whereas booster Batman does so for 2 clicks. The Batwing trait is nice, but it makes his range about normal as opposed to a little less optimal. This brings us to Green Lantern. John Stewart, Green Lantern, comes in at 100 points or 40 points, starter-wise, or 65 points in the booster. Taking a look at his dial, they both got the Justice League of America team ability. However, the booster one, this one up here, also has the Green Lantern Corps team ability, which allows Green Lantern to carry up to 8 friendly characters. Then both have a 7 range. Both have got some sidestep on their dials. So, trait-wise, starter has founding members, booster has Justice League Unlimited. Now, when it comes to special powers, the booster one actually does have a special power, this one being all aboard. You give him a move action, so he could actually benefit from the Justice League of America team ability. Green Lantern can carry regardless of flight symbol and modifies speed +1 for each carried character with the Justice League of America team ability. And he can then move up to his speed value. Okay. I would say, if anything, that at the very least allows him to move up to his full speed value. His printed speed value being at 12 at the beginning of his dial. When you carry a character, you do have to subtract 1 from your speed value per character carried, up to 3. And he can do that with 8. But you don't get to modify it, you don't get to add an additional 8. You just get to add it up to 3. So I think it would be more a case of for the usual carrying penalty, he loses 3, but he then gains 3. So yeah, it works out. Now both have Indomitable, which is good. So the thing is with these two Green Lanterns, one is the starter version is very much an attacker. He's got running shot. He's got pulse wave. He's got pulse wave and penetrating psychic blast. He's got invuln. He's got inertial deflection. He's got barrier. He's got stop. He's got enhancement. He's got range combat expert. The booster one has all aboard, duty sidestep, telekinesis, incapacitate, barrier, inertial deflection, regeneration. In fact, they both have regeneration. Perplex, and range combat expert. He's a good backup attacker. And to be fair, his stats actually pick up nicely at the end. When he becomes an attacker. Also, the Justice League Unlimited trait does really help to supplement leadership. This is again a very tough call but I think an early game taxi and a late game attacker is probably the better option here. In part because I'm much more fond of starting with Penetrating Psychic Blast than Pulse Wave. But also just because I do see the use in starting with Telekinesis too. And being able to carry, you know, everyone. Next up, as you can see, we're down to only 2 characters on each side. Next up, we've got Superman, the Big Blue Boy Scout. So this is going to be a tough one. Both versions have got their perks. So, all right. First off, point cost. Starter Superman comes in at 125 or 60. Booster Superman comes in at an even 100. Let's take a look at their dials right quick. Booster Superman has both the Superman Ally Team ability, which allows him to ignore hindering terrain for movement and drawing line of fire, but while both have the Justice League of America team ability. And Starter Superman does not have improved movement, improved targeting, ignores hindering. So that's one strike against him right there. Trait-wise, they both got 2 traits. Starter has founding members. Booster has Justice League Unlimited. Then we've got on the starter, what we have is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose. Super Strength. As a free action, place Superman adjacent to an opposing character he knocked back at least 1 square this turn to make a close attack targeting that character. Okay, alright. Next, on the boost roll, we got, I once thought I could protect the world by myself, but I was wrong. Once per game, when another friendly character rolls for the Justice Unlimited trait, you may change the result to a 6. Okay, alright, that's actually pretty good. That's really good, actually. Now looking at the numbers. So we've got, okay, there's the big thing. Starter Superman starts off as opening hypersonic speed, which is nice. And you can use the, he can knock someone back, and then he can use then he can use his rare opportunity for me to cut loose trait. Make and put him, and actually potentially even use an object with it. Downside, however, we've got, after 1 click of hypersonic speed, sidestep for the rest of the dial. Hardly anything on attack except for 2 clicks of precision strike early on. Now we do get some invincible with an 18, and then some impervious, again, with an 18. In fact, his defense numbers are 18s for most of his dial, with 2 clicks near the end of being a 17, where he has the defense power. And show you how powerful I really am. Stop. Invulnerability. Super senses. Superman can't be healed. This is actually a point where we see his numbers actually start to come back up. Also, for most of the dial on damage, he has Close Combat Expert. At the end, he's got Battle Fury. And in fact, for most of his dial, he's doing 4 damage. I was initially starting to lean towards. I'll be honest. I was actually beginning to lean towards the Booster Superman, just because Charter and Super Strength together. But looking at the dial, the Booster Superman actually does have a more just kind of basic dial. 4 clicks of charge, 3 clicks of flurry, 4 clicks of super strength, 3 clicks of precision strike, 2 of impervious, 2 of invulnerability, 3 of willpower. Now, while Booster Superman does lose out on the improved targeting portion of the Superman ally team ability, he has 0 range, so range attacks aren't really a problem. And that late dial Battle Fury, that'll definitely come in handy. As, to be fair, so will that Indomitable he's got. So, yeah. That's our Superman. Starter Superman. And now it's down to the Martian Manhunter, J'onn J'onzz. J'onn is, in my opinion, probably one of the more underrated members of the Justice League. I say that mainly because he's just kind of left out of a lot of stuff. Like, you know, the movies. So, J'onn and J'onn. Alright. Both, first off, let's take a look at their dials. They both got the Justice League of America team ability. Starter one comes in at 75 points or 40 points, while the booster one comes in at 100 points or 50 points. Trait-wise, Starter's got founding members, Booster's got Justice League Unlimited. The booster one also has shape-shifting and intangibility, giving him super shape change and super senses. When he uses shape change and succeeds, you may change the target of that attack to a character other than the attacker that is adjacent to Martian Manhunter, even if it were otherwise an illegal target. For example, you could say have a character, for example, a character friendly to the attacker could now be the target. It's always fun to see things that do this. Another excellent example was the Superior Foes of Spider-Man Hobgoblin from a while back, who could put a token on a character, and if that character, if he succeeded with a shape change roll, he could then make the character with the token the target of the attack instead. Then the booster version's got Indomitable as well, so okay, that's definitely a step in the right direction. Power-wise, power and stat-wise, okay. So the starter version has a lot of phasing teleport, a couple clicks of mind control. We get some early to mid dial super strength, but not top dial. Defensively speaking, we've got some one click of impervious, a few clicks of invulnerability, and a couple clicks of regen. Also, a defense that doesn't go below a 17. Actually, both of them start at 18 and dip to 17. With the booster version actually going back up briefly to 18 before going back down to 17. On damage, the starter version's got a full run of 3 damage. Starting with the special power, you have your assignments: leadership, shape change. As a power action, you can choose another friendly character with 0 or 1 action tokens that shares a keyword and then move them up to half their speed value. Okay. However, it's not a free action, so that would still be technically 2 costed actions. Looking at the booster one, On speed, we open up with I am not from around here, which grants Martian Manhunter mind control and phasing teleport. When he uses phasing teleport and moves forward or less after resolutions, he may make a close attack. Okay, alright. He's also got his range value is actually one higher than the starter version. After the special power, you get a few clicks of not shape change, but sidestep. Sadly, no attack powers. Defense-wise, we open up with a click of Invincible, get some invulnerability, then a click of Impervious, and end with some good old-fashioned toughness. On damage, we've got a whopping 5 straight clicks of Leadership, finishing up with 2 clicks of Close Combat Expert. Also, he opens up with 2 clicks of 4 damage. So he might not be. I think both of them could. I think he could be better overall. Either way. And Martian Manhunter's 12 attack. The starter of Martian Manhunter's 12 attack is nice, but not so nice that it's on the second click as opposed to first. So I think I'm going to have to go with the booster. Which then brings us to our ideal primary 6. But I did mention Hawkgirl, didn't I? Now, Hawkgirl didn't make the starter because whatever reason. They just wanted to do 6 figures. So, let's get an idea of what we're looking at team 1, number 1. Well, point-wise. Alright. We got 200 with Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter. Then Flash and Green Lantern, bring that to 330. Superman brings it up to 400. Superman brings it to 525. So Hawkgirl comes in at 60 points. That gives us 15 more points to do whatever with. Maybe 5 points for a map bonus, 10 points for an equipable object, like, I don't know, maybe an axe? The blood axe, perhaps? So, now this is not we'll actually be comparing this Justice League build to some other builds, some other related builds from the JLU set as well, but not today. That will happen at another time. Namely, the Justice Lords and the Injustice League. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. It'll probably be the next time we do Starter versus Booster will likely be in either around the end of next month or the beginning of August, as that's when Fantastic Four releases. The plan is, and we'll actually be covering both the starter and the Fast Forces. So that's going to actually mean we'll be looking at a total of 24 figures. And while Silver Surfer and Doctor Doom are in the starter, neither one has the Fantastic Four keyword, so we'll only just be compared. Those two will only be compared just to their booster versions. And to be fair, depending on how, depending on how much is in the set, we may just be doing one for the starter, one for the fast forces. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Tell me what you thought of the video in the comments. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.